Brian, I know you got stuff going on, so my people need help leveling up from the beneficiary phone numbers and calling them to getting into the ERS system. In fact, you was telling me some crazy stuff about how it's helped your annuity business. Why don't you just hit them with something hard like that and wake them up a little bit?
Guys, listen to this. So the first 2 to 3 months, by implementing this referral system, by implementing what we're going to talk about today, in 2 months, we issued, not submitted, we issued paid 11 annuities. Nine of them were referrals. And so what we're going to talk about today will start trickling off, okay? Will start trickling off and your very basic, just whatever, final expense or mortgage protection sales. But trust me, it does not end there. I'm telling you, I'm getting chills talking about it because what it's done for me in this business, the first quarter, already over $116,000 in issued paid business. Like the 116,000 in my bank account just from this ERS system alone. So I was doing the math, Mike and Noel, check this out. I was doing the math while you were talking right now. Did you know that if we start implementing what we're going to talk about today, it starts by one person stepping up and actually deciding and committing to learn how to do this, Sarah. That one person will affect another person because that person will start getting results and this person will want to get the same results. If we do that, did you know that y'all's organization can go up over $1.4 million this year in addition to what y'all tracking? Let me explain it. You got 15 referrals in the house, you probably might sit with 6 of them. Okay. And then out of 6 of them, you probably might just sell 3. Is that fair to say, Mike? Right?
I think so. Yeah, if you sit with 6 and help half, that's right. That's our average.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And if you do that consistently for 4 weeks, that should be about 12 in annual premiums, right? Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair.
All right. What about this? Check this out, Sarah. I'm not a numbers guy like that, but like it was very easy to do these numbers. So what's 12,000 times 12? That's about, I want to say 144,000, right? Am I right on that, or am I tripping?
You nailed it.
Then just multiply that by 10 people.
Yep.
Damn, let me tell this team, like y'all getting ready to blow up.
So let's jump into it. So you're in a home.
Yeah.
Where do you start introducing this ERS thing? Like, I want the specific, like, where does ERS come up? Where do you start either planting a seed or your first word where you're being intentional? Because you know you're going to do it. So where does it come out? The first clue that it's coming.
Yeah. So I want to answer that question, but before, here's another reason why I wanted to do it. I remember there was a call, like, all right, and this gentleman, James Coleman, he did this call, and he told me why we need to be doing this. Did you know if you could put a price on leads, on referrals, on ERS leads, do you know how much they would cost? I don't know if y'all remember hearing this, Mike and Noel. $300. That would be about the average price for a lead. And I'm like, damn, these things are hot. You see what I'm saying? And it's like no other agent, if you're dialing with whatever leads you guys have going on, I'm not sure what you guys are doing, but Bang Man leads, Happy Agent leads, what else? Integrity leads. No other agent is running behind these type of leads, referrals. These referrals are not even looking for insurance, if that makes sense. It's such a valuable lead. Right? And so where I open it up, where I start talking about referrals and how I call this the setup, Mike, and I use the ATM right prior to this page. I don't know if y'all can see this page, right? Where here, let me stop the sharing first. But like this page right here, has everybody seen this page on your ATM? Give me a head nod if you guys have, okay? So like after I use this page, that's where I begin my setup. So like I say, hey, so look, we got 3 options for you. Which one best fits your budget? And the client typically chooses that middle option, right, guys? So then I typically say right there, all right, let me see your driver's license. Let's get this going for you. And right there, I have a squirrel moment. All right. Once I start beginning their application, I say, hey, by the way, while I'm finishing up your application, I'm going to have you work on your emergency response system. And immediately, Michael, right there, I got this from Michelle Alleman. Immediately right there, I start killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I say, do you know what that is? I say immediately. So I say, we're going to start working on your emergency response system. And then I ask them, do you know what that is? The answer to that is always going to be what? No. And what I do, okay, is I kind of go like, all right, let's do this. Why don't you read it real quick? And I give this to them. And what they're reading, guys, let me share my screen again. What they're reading is just this ERS page that is built into our ATM already. Do you guys see it okay? And I tell them, oops, sorry about that. And I tell them, hey guys, Mrs. Smith, read this out loud. So while the client is reading it out loud, these 3 bullet points, guys, is giving me time to simultaneously write down 15 numbers on my ERS. So by the time she gets done with saying, emergency response system is our way of making sure your death claim will be paid out to your beneficiaries, by the time she's saying beneficiaries, I've already calculated myself that I've already written down the number 15. Does that make sense, Mike? Mm-hmm. So where I start my ERS process, I don't talk about it till I get to like basically this page. But really, it's not me talking about it or explaining it. They're already reading it out loud. So this page is doing the heavy lifting for me. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
So
that makes sense. That's big.
Yeah.
So it's a setup because you're explaining it before you've asked them to do it, and you're saying, here's why. You're just it's like, and you're also being assumptive that you're going to be filling out an application with them. So there's a couple things going in there.
Yeah,
and the other. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
Go ahead, Noel, please.
I was just going to say the other thing too is they're speaking it and then they're hearing it. So it's different because they're speaking it out loud. I love that.
So they're basically using all their senses, guys. The less you talk, the better it is in some situations, okay? The more you are able to ask questions that do heavy lifting, the better it is for you. And that's why this ATM is so important, even for a new person that doesn't know how to make sales, because here's the deal. This ATM has all the questions you really need to ask. It does the sell for you. It does the closing for you. So I got really good at using my ATM. But in particular, this page, right? So like once they're done reading that, I grab the 3 bullet points that I just showed you guys, all right? And I turn them into questions. And all I'm saying, Nick, right, if we go back to this, and you stop me whenever you want, Mike, okay? But all I'm saying is, did you know that? Did you know that there is over $1 billion in unclaimed life insurance in America? So for somebody like you, Sarah, or Nick, that doesn't know how to start getting referrals, here are the bullet points where you start and you just turn them into questions. And here's what's crazy about it. They just read it out loud. So they are being convicted about what we're talking about here, okay? So here's the other thing too, guys. I'm looking at this, like most people get this twisted. Like, let me put a pin here, okay? Let me stop here. I want to make sure that you understand what we're doing here. This is a service to our clients. The byproduct is going to be a sale that's going to come on the back end, okay? But to be clear, this is a service. I always give this story out, guys. Why I started doing this for real, is because I had a client. His name was Charles. He had bought a mortgage protection for his 17-year-old daughter named Nicole. He bought the insurance for $100,000. He passed away 6 months after, and I knew nothing about it because I didn't do this service. And Mary, here's what ended up happening. That client's daughter called me. Nicole called me 6 months after and told me, hey, are you Brian? I have something paperwork here. I'm moving out, but I have a paperwork I bumped into. I don't know if it was good or not. I'm like, yeah, it's good. What happened? My dad passed away and they're foreclosing the house. I didn't have they're just getting rid of the house. Okay. It burned me. Because, see, the dad had bought the insurance, but the insurance is so that Nicole could keep the house. Because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, Nicole's house was being foreclosed. She had to move out of the house. And I always carry that with me. See what I'm saying? So, like, I'm looking at this as a service, guys. That's the biggest thing. Because when your client dies, somebody needs to reach out to you or the insurance company to let them know that they passed away. See what I'm saying? So that's how I'm looking at it. Most people, they're just looking at this as just a referral service or let me transact my client to get more referrals out of it. While that's y'all, I just don't do that. I choose not to look at it like that. Does that make sense, Randy, Jan? Like that's not what I'm doing. Okay. So, all right, where did I leave off? Noel, you're going to have to help me because my ADD kicks in and I've been drinking a lot of coffee. So anyway.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I do then, all right, guys, as I'm looking at this page, as I'm looking at the ERS, I'm just saying, hey, did you know that currently there's over $1 billion of unclaimed life insurance in America? And then I ask the question, why do you think that is, Mrs. Smith? And they know the answer to that. They always say, because they didn't know you died. And what I do there, guys, is I just slap my knees and I just say, right. And here's the thing. Why do you think, Mrs. Smith, that they don't know you died? You keep asking why. And then they'll answer, guys, because nobody told them that you died. So through this process, I was able to learn how to get quality referrals. So one of the things I was bumping into, guys, is when I was asking for referrals, people would only give me 2 or 3, which is typically their beneficiaries. Has anybody gone through that? Where you're asking for referrals and they only give you like 2 or 3 people, right?
Yes.
Here's how to get rid of that, guys. Here's how you get rid of that. And this is something that I had to learn. So when I asked, yeah, and why do you think that is that the insurance doesn't know that you passed away? Because nobody told them, right? So you get rid of the beneficiaries. And this is how I lay myself up for that. I say, and think about it, Mrs. Smith. You and I, we're sitting here and we're talking about insurance. No one in your family knows that I'm here right now. Nobody. What would happen if you were to pass away in an hour from now? See what I'm saying? So I just let the silence make the work for me. The second thing that I say is, and Mrs. Smith, think about this. Nobody. See, you're planning on telling your 2 children or your 1 child that you have, right? But you don't ever stop and think, what if she passes away before I do? What then, Mrs. Smith? That's the question I'm asking, because I'm creating value in what I'm doing, guys, because it's the truth, right? We don't ever stop and think, what if somebody that I put as a beneficiary dies before I do? So when I show them that, they're in a state of awe. Does that make sense, guys? You want to ask these type of questions to let them see into the future. As long as you're making it make sense, they will do these ERSs. You got to make it make sense, right? And so one of the things that I've done is when I talk about these ERSs, when I ask them, here's what we're going to need. All right, we're going to need names, phone numbers, and let them be local. The reason why I'm saying let them be local, guys, is because prior, when I was getting 10 referrals, let's just say I live in Tampa or in Florida, I was getting referrals in Washington. I was getting referrals in Kentucky. I was getting referrals in California, all over the place, that I couldn't sell face-to-face, that I couldn't help face-to-face, right? And so I learned to say, when you put people down, make sure that they are local. That gives you a quality referral that is in the same county or city as they are. And the way I do that, guys, I lay it up like this. Hey, make sure that the first and last names and the relationship, make sure that they're local. You know why I'm saying that, Mrs. Smith, right? Because they're the first ones that are going to find out that you passed away or that something happened to you, if something was to ever happen to you. Does that make sense, Mrs. Smith? And they always say, yeah, that makes sense. Okay? So now we're talking about this. Any questions so far, Mike, or anything like that you want to input or ask or clarify?
As I see this process, I'm going to kind of take it and I'm going to take it up to about 30,000 feet so people have a bird's eye view. And I think you're doing a great job at keeping it on the ground. But I'm going to come up and show the people the forest here. So the first piece is you've got to set the expectation as to why is there a need for the ERS. And that happens in your ATM. Okay, so you're fertilizing the field. Now, here's where we are getting the people's names on the list. You're extracting, so we got resource to work with by establishing value in the need. This is the next phase. Then the third phase is going to be, what do we do to create the introduction from the insured to the ERS list for you? How do we get the client to introduce you to their network? And then the next piece is, what do you do to say something to that network?
Right.
When you book in the appointment, and then what do you do in the appointment? So about 5 layers of skill to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
The concept with ATM, getting the lead or the name on a list, getting the client to make the introduction, you making the phone call, and you running the appointment. So 5 layers of skill. But so we're working on the second layer of skill of getting these names. So keep going, Brian.
Okay, how much longer do I have, Mike? Because I want to make sure.
You know what? We might be able to go 2 minutes over. I've got an event here that we're kicking off right at 3:00. So we got 10, 11 minutes. That's what we got.
Macaroni. Oh shoot, we might have. All right, so
I have to go turbo mode.
All right, so here we go. Okay, another thing that I want to tell you. The moment you ask a person for 15 referrals, guess what they're going to say? What's the number one thing people say?
I don't know
I
15
don't have
people.
I
I
can't.
don't.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody.
Okay, they're going to, okay, as long as you make it make sense, they'll give you 15 people. Here's how I've made it make sense, okay, guys? You got to make it make sense, and you got to build a reason why we need 15 referrals. Here is the reason why, all right? Very simple, not complicated. Let me share my screen one more time, guys. Okay, so you want to take out the reasons why. So, Mrs. Smith, here's why we need 15 referrals. Half of them, they're not going to pick up when I call them. You just took half of them away, guys. And then I say something like this, Noel. Think about it, Mrs. Smith. It took me 16 times to get a hold of you. And I started laughing. So, like, people don't pick up numbers they don't know. I say this. With that being said, Mrs. Smith, I am already accounting that like half of them are not going to pick up, okay? The other half, Mrs. Smith, they're just like you and I. They break their phones. They need a new phone every 3 or 4 years. So the other half, they're not even going to save my number. Their number's not even going to transfer to a new data, okay? With that being said, we're only going to be left with 3. These 3, I'm hoping that are the ones that call me. Here's the problem, Mrs. Smith. You and I don't know which one of the 3 these 15 will be. Does that make sense? Do you understand why we need 15? Boom. And my belief in this is much stronger than their belief in saying, I don't have 15 referrals, guys. All right. So we already talked about getting quality referrals. All right. The main issue is that you're not asking for local names, local people. Okay. You got to ask for their names, relationship to you, but let them be local because they're going to be the first ones that know that something happens if they were to pass away. Okay. All right. So after doing that, if they don't want to give you 10 to 15 referrals, here's what I'm doing. They say, I don't have 15 referrals. I'm not sure you do. Guys, you got to remember, these are old people that play bingo. These are older people that go to church. These are older people that love to do Easter egg hunting for the kids around the neighborhood and stuff. They know 15 people, guys. They have neighbors, okay? You just cannot believe their BS. You got to do the right thing. You got to be bold with this stuff, all right? And that's one of the things that, like, when I first started was not easy for me. But you got to show that you care by being bold. So one of the things that I've done is when people tell me they don't have 15 people, I say, sure you do. Let me see your cell phone. They give me their cell phone. If you build a connection strong enough, they shouldn't have any problem giving you their cell phone, right? So I go through the list. Who's Kimmy? All right, let's put them down. Who's Ashley? All right, let's put them down. And then when they tell me things like, who's Damien? Oh no, don't put him. He's knows his hell. I'm like, that's the perfect person. That's the person that's gonna call me. Hell yeah, let's put them down. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here's the next layer. So what do I do next once I got the 15 people? Okay, typically what I do, all right, I send them, okay, so here's an example of what it should look like if you do it right. Are y'all seeing this? How many referrals? Like, y'all can do this, okay? This is a referral RS sheet, okay? So I got 6 more minutes. Okay, so the next step is I text them. And guys, if you need this text message, just text either Mike, Noel, or I think Sherry is your assistant, Mike. Is that right? Y'all, she has this information, okay? But I text my client this text message, and all it says is, hello, my life insurance agent, Brian Rojas, is going to call them. This text message right here, the reason why we started doing this is it avoids your client getting harassed by those people that you gave them. If you don't send this text message, better believe that your client is going to be pissed off at you. This is why most people, okay, their clients get pissed off at them because you start calling their clients and their network, and their network doesn't know that they're going to receive a call from you. And that's what stopped me from doing this my first time around. I did not understand this concept. When you send this text message out from your client's phone to their network, it's all good. It's all good. So what I've done is the first 5 people, okay, like for example, Christine, I'll grab my client's phone and I'll show that person. Remember, we're dealing with final expense clients, right? Or whatever. Like, people are older, they don't know how to text. I'll show them how to text. I'll grab my client's phone and I'll text this number, all right? And I'll just text 5 numbers. The reason I text 5 numbers, guys, is I want to make sure when I call my ERX, I know that at least the first 5 got an ERX, like this text right here. And if you do it right, the referral on the other side will say, okay, I'll be ready for his call. Mike, are we good there? Okay.
Yeah, we are good. We put this script for the text in the chat. So if you want to copy and paste it and save it, it's there. The other documents, I had trouble opening up the ones you sent me, Brian. I'll get with you and we'll get the attachments and we'll make them available for people. So we'll have that. So keep going, buddy. You're doing good.
So once you're there, guys, basically you're done, right? The only other thing I would recommend that you say is, look, I texted these people for you so that they know that I'm going to call them and give them information. I'm not going to give them information about your policy or how much you're paying, anything like that. I'm just going to let them know if something happens to you to call me so that I can expedite the claim for your clients. Okay. Now, here's what you want to say once you're leaving. Hey, by the way, I have noticed that when I'm talking to people, they're usually looking for insurance. If they want insurance, are you okay if I help them out? I don't say, are you okay if I sell them? No, the word I'm saying is, look, typically people are asking me about insurance when I talk to them and I'm talking to them about like what we did today. Are you okay with me helping out your friends and family? And they're always like, oh my God, yeah. Instead of, I don't know if you've gotten this, please don't call my friends or family. Please don't do that. I don't know if you've gotten that. That is like the worst, right? But and now it's turned to where they want me to call their friends, guys. They want me to call their family, especially when I'm saving them money. Does that make sense? All right. I think for the most part, I can go into like how I call them, Mike, but I don't think we're going to have a lot of information. I think we can spend the last 3 minutes maybe answering some questions because I know I gave a lot here.
Well, let's go ahead and do a quick. Okay, we'll make time for 1 or 2 questions, but first, go ahead and hit us with your phone script. Hit us with your phone script when you call the ERS referral.
So the phone script, I'll also send it to you, Mike, so you can have a copy of it. So the phone script is very simple. When I call them, I just say, ring, ring, ring. Hey, Mr. Smith, this is Brian. I am the insurance agent for your buddy, Billy. And then I ask him, did he by any chance let you know that I was going to be calling you? Which I already know the answer to that, guys, because remember, I texted the first 5 people. So I know, you see what I'm saying? I know that he got the text message. I know that he got the call. So I'm saying, did he by any chance tell you or text you that I was going to be calling you? If he says yes, I'm saying, great. The reason for my call is twofold right there. If he says, no, I didn't get a text message, shoot, I'm going to kick your buddy's Billy's butt when I see him. The reason for my call is twofold. I say the same thing. The first reason I'm calling you is I helped out your buddy Billy, okay, with some insurance, and he put you down as an emergency contact. And what that means is an emergency response system. What that means is in the event that your buddy Billy were to pass away or he were to get sick, that he trusts you to give me a call so that I can expedite the claim for the insurance company. Are you willing to be an emergency contact for your friend Billy? Mr. Smith will say, yeah, I'm cool with that. And then I'll give him my name and my phone number. And then this is how they start getting attracted to this type of insurance. Also, if your friend Billy were to ever get a cancer, heart attack, or stroke, or some sort of like liver problem or anything like that, transplant, do me a favor. He actually has access to his money while he's alive, but he might not be in the condition to call me. If he ever gets some sort of chronic illness or anything like that, would you do me a favor? Would you call me so I can check up on him? And that's typically, Mike, when I'm like, they're getting interested in what I'm saying, because they probably already have insurance, but they don't have this type of insurance. They don't have a Superman policy. And that's where I'm hooking them. He's like, oh, for real? That's typically Sailor when they tell me, for real? That insurance does that? I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, hey, man, I did say that the call was twofold. The second reason for the call is because while I was sitting down with Mr. Billy, him and we talked about me talking this over with you and getting over some options on what you have outside of work. So 2 things that I did there, guys, is, hey, the second reason for the call is while I was sitting down with Billy, we talked about me sitting down with you and going over some options, because I did do that. Remember when I said, hey, if your buddies need some insurance or anything like that, are you okay if I help them? And I'm using that when they say yes, and I'm bringing that into this call. Does that make sense, y'all? We talked about me getting with you and going over some options outside of what you have at work or in addition to what you already have, all right? And he said that you live in Pasco County. Is that right? I'm already assuming the appointment. And I'm already telling them, hey, I know that you have some insurance outside of what we're talking about in addition to what you have or outside of work. So when they book the appointment with me, automatically I know that I'm going in there to help them out. Because I've already said, in addition to what you have or what you have outside of work. And he said that you're over there in the Pasco area. Is that right? He says, yeah, I'm over here. I'm like, cool. What time are you normally home from work? And I just go right into a phone script. I'm figuring out what time they're home, guys.
Good, right?
Okay. So that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm booking the appointment. All right. Now, if they don't answer the phone, I'm calling them twice. I don't call them 3 times with this one because James Coleman told me don't call them three times. Just call them twice. That's what I did. Never knew why, Mike. He's the referral king. But I just copied what he told me. I'm like, oh, cool. You don't want to piss him off. All right, I won't piss him off. You know what I'm saying? But this is the script, guys. Okay, this is the script. That's all I'm doing to booking those appointments. And I know that I'm going to book at least 6 appointments every single week off of that if I do it right. All right. By doing this, guys, okay, over the years, I've been doing this since 2019 consistently. Over the years, these clients have been my strongest clients. I just had a call and a client just messaged me, hey, man, I want to increase my husband's policy. Put another $250. Nothing. Cool. Gotcha. Hey, Brian, can you come over? I think I got some money that I want to invest. Cool. Hey, by the way, I got clients that they have a 401k. You might want to be able to help them out. That's how I made my money this year. Because this system, what we begun in 2019, man, has served me for this moment, guys. Build yourself a system like this. Aside from when you guys are doing leads. Leads are great. Please do not use the system to get rid of leads. That is not what the system is intended to do. This is a supplemental program aside from your leads. Does that make sense, y'all?
It's a multiplier. It's a lead multiplier. So if you have 0 leads, you can't multiply nothing. Tell you what, here's what we need. We need people to start with these first things. We need people to start adjusting their ATM, making sure they're covering this. Make sure you're getting your ERS form, gathering names, getting the text out. You can do that between now, tomorrow's appointment, Saturday's appointments, and show up dialing those on Monday.